Hello, hello, my hey, I got something to say, people. I missed you. I did. I know I've had a week or so off. You'll understand. It's summertime and it's vacation. Yes. And it was absolutely wonderful. I hope you're getting time off with your family and friends. I don't care where you're going. It could be a stay vacation, but I'm glad to be back. And before I go on and on about how grateful I am for you and your support, I would like to introduce to you Dr. Christiana. Hi, Dr. Christiana. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I'm so glad to be here today. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I know I usually do it every week, but in the summer, you got to do what you got to do to have fun. Take some time off.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's all about. And I'm sure that this is going to be even more meaningful now because we're back and we're making this extra juicy.
That's exactly right. And you're actually getting somebody to teach your class while you're doing this, aren't you?
I know. So I am on campus now. So if you are watching the recording, there is my office is in the background here. But the beautiful thing is, because we're recording this in my mid-morning, I'm in California. I'm teaching a class, Innovation on Entrepreneurship. I am a professor in California. I'm super passionate about business and wellness, and that's really how my life evolves. And so right now, my teaching assistant is actually filling in, and they are creating today their first branding, their first slogans, their taglines. And I'm really excited to see what happens when I come back.
I'm so happy for you. All right, let me tell them a little bit about you. Dr. Christiana is a business and wellness coach, award-winning professor, and best-selling author. She created Petite Practice. I love it. To help professionals achieve success through small, intentional actions. As the host of the globally ranked Top 1% podcast, yay! Happy, Healthy, Hustle. Oh, my God, I love that freaking name. She empowers entrepreneurs to build thriving businesses without stress or burnout. Well, that's right up my alley. You guys are going to love this. So, the one positive thing I want to say to women around the world, and you said you don't have to do it all at once. Small intentional actions, I call them petite practice, can change everything. All right, tell us more. Let's dive in. Why did you pick that statement to tell women and men that support us around the world?
I think that we tend to be so hard on ourselves and more focusing on the shortcomings, things that we didn't get done in a day, where in reality, there are so many things that we already do. And just by breaking down your day into small little actions, those petite practices, and looking at each of those actions as like a little gem that adds to the full boundary of joy that you see at the end of the day, you already going to create such a more fulfilling life. And actually, if you have a to-do list, create something that I call a ta-da list where you're celebrating those wins at the end of the day. So maybe instead of saying, oh, I didn't do all the laundry, oh, I didn't get all the things done from my to-do list, maybe just say, all right, I got two things done from my to-do list and I got one load of laundry done. And that's the petite practice. We're just focusing on small little elements in our life that add some joy to us.
I freaking love it. So, I'm all about that. The littlest things I do, I can't wait to check it off. I don't know if you do that. I'm like, oh, I did that. Oh, I did that. And it's so small. And then if it's something like I call it, ooh, I ate my peas. I really didn't want to do it. I did it. I try to do it first thing. Then I do a whole little celebration happy dance. Makes me feel good inside. It just makes me feel so good inside. So we're going to dive into some of the questions right away before we get into your tips, because we got a bunch of them for you. Or my listeners and viewers, I said to my peeps when you're coming on. And the biggest thing they wanted to know is exactly what we're talking about. We'll take Sally's, because Sally Bell, I think her question here was asked by a number of people. She wanted to know if you had a formula for breaking down how small the act should be. She said every day she crosses things off and puts a line through it, and it makes her really, really happy, even if they only take 5 minutes. She wants to know, doesn't matter the amount of time.
Love it. Yeah, so for me, on my to-do list, I never write more than 5 things,
Okay.
right? So that's the very first thing. Because if you write down 25 things on your to-do list, even though they might be small, alone the act of looking at that overwhelming list is a little uncomfortable. And we don't want to be uncomfortable. We want to be motivated. And it's not motivating, right? So when you create your to-do list, create it in a way that it seems manageable. It's kind of like we're not making Thanksgiving dinner with like 25 different sides. We're making something
That's
simple right now.
awesome. I love that analogy.
We're making something simple, right? So we're putting something together that is actually at the end of the day making it to our to-do list because we were able to tackle this. So now for me personally, because I am not just a visual learner, I'm also a kinesthetic learner. I totally agree with Sally that line that you draw through each item when you check it off, so important. And I also think that it helps to write on a piece of paper on a whiteboard because you can see it. And when you cross it, it's that feeling of crossing it or checking it off, depending on whether you are like a crosser or a checker, right? That is so important.
Or checker. I like that.
And I think that for me, the items usually like 15, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. In fact, at home, I have a little timer cube, and the maximum amount of time on that timer cube is actually 60 minutes. Now, remember, when I was introduced, it's a business and wellness coach. Deep down, I think I was probably a squirrel at some point in my previous life. I cannot sit still for longer than 60 minutes. So if there's something on the to-do list that's like an 8-hour task, you probably have to break it down. So I would say 60 minutes, Sally, is the max that I would go because we are human and our minds at some point need a break, whether that means you're going and grabbing a drink or you're going around the block or you may be checking in with a friend, or you're just closing your eyes and not looking at your computer. You need to step away. And then the stepping away is actually refreshing. And when you come back, you're going to feel like, all right, let's continue.
You know, that was one of the biggest questions I got for the last podcast, but I want to ask you about it because a lot of the people are trying to redo their schedules in the fall to allow for those breaks, but they're not sure how to do it because when they work for other people, 1 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, and they take it all the way to the end, where a lot of therapists and psychiatrists and teachers, they go 45 or 50 or 55 minutes just to give themselves the break. So how do they we're going to take a question from this dude because Bob supports us really well. So we'll call him Billy Bob. Billy Bob goes, how do I bring this to my boss? I just want 5 minutes for everybody to get up, stretch, walk around, and come back. I truly believe we'd get a lot more done. How can I convince them not to go from back to back to back to back meetings? I see so many people drained by lunch.
Yeah, so I guess there's like two questions in there. First, Billy Bob understood the importance of taking a break.
Yeah.
But now, how do you tell somebody else about the importance of doing this? I think at the end, it really comes down to, are you going to be more efficient in doing the back to back to back? Or are you going to finish projects when you take those breaks? And I'm not going to answer this for you, but I'm pretty sure that both of us agree it's definitely taking a break that will increase your efficiency. So
Ooh, that's a good way to go at it with the boss.
yes, I am a firm believer that at the end of the day, numbers will be your magic that will open doors right there. Yeah. So if you, for instance, could say, if I take 5 minutes And all what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some torso twists. I'm going to do some little arm stretches. I'm going to maybe hydrate because I've been in the office all day, so I need to drink something. 5 minutes times maybe three, right? So you're working a chunk of 3 hours. That's 15 minutes. That is nothing. But because I take those 15 minutes of break, I can finish 3 projects because each of the projects, I am creating myself this internal mental deadline that within that hour, I have to get to that goal. Like, think about this. If it's just like this vacuum, like big chunk of time, you're just going to diddle daddle. You're like in between, like, But if you say, all right, 5 more minutes, and then I take my break, this is a completely different thing. This is like you
Love that.
procrastinating until the last minute and sitting down and getting it done. And that's where you want to get into. You need to tell your boss, if I create these breaks, I am actually working far more productively because I'm looking forward to taking that break. I'm looking forward to getting up. So for me,
Mm.
this chunking of time is really something that will make me happier, more productive. But at the end of the day, you will appreciate it because I get things done.
I love it. Oh my goodness, Billy Bob's going to love this. So many people are going to love it. And it really comes from both people's perspectives. Yay. All right. Tell us about your students. How long have you been teaching? I want to come to that course.
Sure. So teach, I did the math the other day. I was like, and I love numbers. Got my PhD in applied economics, and that never really lost me that I do like numbers. I counted the other day, I taught over 10,000 students in my life. And I'm now close to retiring right now, but that means I teach a
Wow.
lot. I teach a lot, right? I do really touch a lot of people's lives. Now, here's the fun fact. What I'm teaching right now is actually a high school student class. So these students come from all over the world and they come here to this beautiful area in California, take my innovation entrepreneurship class, which is an intensive class for 10 days. And then they go back to wherever they came from. Then in the regular school year, I teach my academic classes to college students. And then sometimes when they graduate, they hire me as their coach. And then I help them and build their businesses and scale the business. And essentially, this is like a high school student, for instance, that I saw last year is going to be my student now. In a month, I'm going to see him in my academic class at the university. And that student is starting his business, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep helping him even after his graduation. So this is how my life evolves. I'm like a lifelong learner person. I
Look at the trajectory you have with the kids. You're
know.
in their lives for a while. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So you said the kids for high school, though, they come from all over
Mhm.
for this intense 10 days. How many
Mhm.
kids do you accept in the program?
So usually it's just like 20. I think that, there's like a point of scale and a point of, efficiency. And that's kind of the harmony for me is about 20. So we have about 5 teams of 4 students. And I think that that works really well. Like anything beyond that, you're kind of losing that personal
Yeah.
touch. And I think that that is what I'm striving for, that I actually want that people get to know me and build that connection, that they collaborate with each other. But at the end of the day, just because it is 10 days, that's really the magic number that works.
Are you blown away every day about what they come up with?
Yeah, and of course it's beautiful because it keeps you young,
Yeah.
right? So you hear a lot of things that they talk about that I wasn't aware. And it's different from scrolling on social media where you just see some feed that is based on your previous searches.
Mm-hmm.
Because these students come to me, so they basically feed me their ideas and their little concepts. And just like with my clients, I hear, of course, the same struggle over and over again. I'm overwhelmed. I'm stressed.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm too general. I need to niche down. Da, 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 da. So I hear that a lot, and that's always been there over the past 20 years. But at the same time, I still get their unique trends when they come to me and they share what their business is all about. And that is really neat. It definitely keeps you fresh and yeah, very humbling.
So one of my young gals, I say young gals, she's 38, and Betty, we'll call her Betty Boop, they like their names to be anonymous, said, I told her that you teach students to lead with confidence, clarity, and resilience. She wants to know what's one thing that she could do to help her children who are deciding whether or not they want to go to college. What direction could she take them in so they would have more confidence, clarity, and resilience?
Okay. So again, like I kind of like hear two different things. A, the children don't know yet whether they want to go to college or not.
Correct.
And so that's maybe where the clarity piece comes in.
Yeah.
And B, of course, is it like something that you feel there is like a transition in your life when you are going to be more confident, or you may be gaining that aha moment, like, oh, this is what I want to do with my life. Now, Betty, to use your name, I have news for you.
Uh-oh.
Most of the students that are in my classes, whether they're those high school students or the students that are my academic classes, I don't know that they exactly know what they are going to do with their life. And to be honest with you, when I enrolled in my PhD program, I don't think that I knew what I was going to do with my life.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. Don't be so hard on yourself. You don't have to have it all figured out. Let me give you an example. When you go to a restaurant, there are restaurants that you have been to, and so you're going to order the same thing because you have been there and so you know it. But many times you're going to get the menu and you're going to read through the menu. And in that moment, you decide what sounds good. So think of your children that way, right? They are going to come to the university and there will be classes that they will take. And it's like this menu, like, oh, that sounds really good. And then they take it and they're like, that was beautiful. I love that class. I want to do more of it. And then they order more of it. Well, speaking about the menu, or they would take more classes of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is how life is. You just need to be in tune with yourself and just be open to figuring out what you're all about. And that might be the clarity piece. It already starts with just thinking about what is it really that I like doing? Is it skateboarding? Is it computer games? Is it reading? You don't have to necessarily study that, but if it's something that
Yeah.
you enjoy, then there is probably some characteristic about it that you might enjoy. Now, with regard to going to college or not, and I'm a firm believer of that because I have two teenagers at home as well. If you really feel, I don't know what to study, I don't know where to go, I really don't know that I want to do this at all, why don't you take some classes at the community college so you're not immediately investing a lot of money and work somewhere and tell other people that you're struggling and coming up with that decision. I mean, vulnerability is an amazing thing. And just say, you know what? I'm taking classes at the community college right now, and I'm kind of like those GEs or whatever, right? And I'm kind of like trying to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? What do you do? And just ask other people and listen to what they do. And you don't have to have it all figured out, but at the same time, there's nothing wrong with if you're at the fork of a road and just like sitting at that road and just kind of waiting too. Yeah, that's it.
I have three 21-year-olds with me right now, my son and two friends, and they're at crossroads whether to go to school and not, in college. They were in it, they didn't like their majors. And one is doing exactly that. They are going to take community classes next year because they weren't sure about their major and whether they want to go full in. And they thought that was failure. I'm like, no, not at all. And I'm so I'm going to play this for them. I'm like, see? And they're like, yeah, you're always positive about everything. I'm like, no, I got it. from Dr. Christiana. She is saying, because after 1 or 2 years, if you're not sure, I think it's okay
Mm.
to take a gap and change and not feel like, oh my God, I thought I wanted to be a business major, the one kid, the one wanted to be a forest ranger, the other one to be an art major, and now they're not sure. It's okay.
Well, and the beautiful thing, of course, about it is if you take those community classes, you might be able to work somewhere and you might, and this is really, really important. I cannot emphasize it enough with my high school students, with my college students, and with my clients. You need to get out and connect with others. So taking
That
a
is
gap year does
virtual.
not
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
getting up at noon every day and then hanging out at home and looking at your phone. That is not connecting. By connecting, I mean we are actually going to the class. Ideally, the community class takes place in person. That would be really good. I'm literally on campus and I see these students in person. I can hug them, etc. Right? So you need to take a class where you interact with others, and maybe you have that job. So you have these two worlds, the academic world and your business world, and you need to put yourself out there,
Mm,
and that will give you the clarity and the confidence.
yes.
And I have down there these students. I already told them that on Thursday, so in 2 days, I expect that they give me an elevator pitch. Of course, they're super scared about this. Never given an elevator pitch in their whole life. And that first version might not be amazing, but you know what? FAIL, FAIL, stands for first attempt in learning. First attempt in learning. If you take an elevator pitch and you do it the first time, it's probably not going to be absolutely amazing, but we're not striving for amazingness. We're just striving for getting it done. So if you take some classes, you put yourself out there, you have your job where you're working at, build that connection and just put yourself out there, and that will help you with the clarity. It's like you're walking through the forest and all of a sudden you started to notice little things. Oh, I really like doing that. And da, 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 da. You just need to put yourself out there.
How is it that I never heard that before? The fail thing. Did you come up with that? I've never heard that.
Well, here's a fun fact, and this is like a little teaser for everybody that's listening right now. So, in a month from now, I'm presenting on the stage of TED in
Oh,
Sacramento,
cool.
California. And I'm going to
Cool.
talk about failure, and I'm going to talk about clarity and confidence and putting yourself out there. And so if you have not heard it, there will be more gems to come. And I would love to share the presentation, of course, when I'm like stepping off the stage and that red dot. But it has really so much meaning that you feel we're sometimes just so hard on ourselves, and you feel not even trying is sometimes, like the best way to do it. You don't want to look at your life and think, I wish I would have done that. You just want to do it because then at least if it didn't work out, you're like, all right, I tried that. And guess what? It didn't work out. You always want to be in that position.
I love your fourth statement. And just because I know we're going to run out of time, but consistency beats perfection every single time. Freaking absolutely. I drive my friends nuts because I'm not a perfectionist. And maybe I could be a little bit more, but I go in first. I've always been that way. Yeah. I'm, and I've never heard this about failure, but I get more upset at myself if I didn't put myself out there. I mean, of course I want it to work out, but if it doesn't, I'd be more upset.
Mhm.
I'd be way more upset. All right. Surrounding yourself with people who believe in you and hold you accountable with compassion. Do you have your peeps?
Yep, it's super important. It's actually part of my tips that I'm sharing with everybody here today for two reasons. A, for your business, you need to surround yourself with your peeps, as you mentioned, that on those days when the business is maybe not doing great or you have just a tough day, they are going to be your cheerleaders and they're going to be like, no, you remember last week how great you did? Yes, celebrate that win from last week. And that will get you through this week right now, which is maybe not amazing, right? So you need to celebrate wins. And I would appreciate that you always look back to get moving forward. Yeah, don't just think about the future. Oh, I don't know what to do. And oh my gosh, like celebrate the small wins. So that's the first thing in your business. You need people that are your cheerleaders. Secondly, because I wrote my dissertation on obesity, I cannot tell you how immensely important it is to surround yourself with people that believe in your health, right?
Oh,
Tremendously important with obesity. If you surround yourself with people that eat junk food all day and you want to stop eating junk food, all what I can say is good luck to you. It will not happen because they're always going to be there eating junk food and they are just going to make you
yeah.
eat junk food too. And
Yep.
that really takes a lot of willpower to say, I'm not eating junk food. I know you're doing this right now, but guess what? I'm not doing this right now. No. If you surround yourself with people that have healthy habits, guess what? You're going to start healthy habits. And that's something else that a Billy Bob can tell his boss, right? Surrounding yourself with people that have healthy habits, whether that's going for that 5-minute walk, the 5-minute water break, the stretch break, just closing your eyes like a little mental meditation for 5 minutes is going to create a healthy corporate culture. So I have established so many little petite practices in my day that create wellness that for me, this is how my business thrives. I'm like the Venn diagram, right? The business and the wellness, and I'm like right in the middle. So one feeds the other. And
Yeah.
I think that you need to think about your community that's around you. Are they supporting you on both ends? Like, are they the burger buns and you're like thriving in the middle, like you're hot and you're thriving, right? So you need to think about that. It's tremendously important. And it starts even with your social media. If you scroll through your social media and you see stuff that makes you unhappy, why are you even looking at this, right? Like unfriend these people or unfollow these accounts. That's not the goal.
So a bunch of my friends last night, they were talking about this, that they feel even for themselves, this was interesting. They're high achievers. They really want to do a lot of good in the world. They all have like 2 to 4 kids. And it's hard for them to really some days be convinced that the little things make a difference. They hear it, they see it, they know logically, they read about it. But in their minds, the one woman was saying, I still feel like it's got to be time consuming. It's got to be complicated. I have to hate it or it's not going to work. And she said to address this with you, how she can change that mindset because it's inner. You have to go uphill both ways to achieve, and they all agreed there's a piece of that, well, those little things just seem so easy. How can that possibly work?
Very smart question. And what I want to challenge you on, I mentioned earlier the complicated thing about Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
Let's just use that as an example right now.
Okay.
Is Thanksgiving really about creating that 15-course meal? Or is it the little things like the connection with people? So think about yourself, and I actually do this in my entrepreneurship class with my students. I call it the tombstone exercise, or like imagine somebody you passed away and somebody's writing
So,
what's on your tombstone. And my students are like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, don't
ah,
overthink this, right? This is like you leaving a legacy in the world. This is what businesses want to do. They want to leave a legacy in the world. Okay, so you passed away. And instead of just saying loving mother and friend, what are people going to say about you? Because the little things are what's going to create that beautiful tagline and inscription. It's not going to be, she always made the 15-course meal on Thanksgiving. I mean, that's a really weird thing on your tombstone, right? It's maybe something like, lover of nature, and she appreciated those walks when we just got up in the morning and we went around the block for 15 minutes and we noticed all the little flowers. That's the little things. It's not the big things at all. It's not that trip to Jamaica. It's maybe just a drive down the road where you're connecting with your children
mm,
in the car and you have a car karaoke conversation. I always think that that's what it's all about. A dinner with your family, playing a game afterwards, or watching a movie together. I mean, who knows what? But it's not the big
Yeah.
things. It's really at the end of your life, if you kind of imagine looking back, you're going to remember those situations that will bring a smile to your face. And I think that we sometimes tend to underestimate how important that is. So think about your tombstone, what you want on there, and that will put this in perspective.
I love that. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. By the way, one of my favorite animals, but you said you're like a squirrel in your
Yep.
is Squirrely, lives in my rafters. He's destroyed my porch, but I love him so much. And my son and I have a squirrel grave. So when we see dead squirrels on the road, because I so relate to them, and they're so happy they go along the way. But it's like, you're right. They go off, and they go off, they go off. So I have to tell you, I was cracking up because Squirrely's right out here. It squeaks a lot. It's so happy and it's filled with joy, the little things in life. Okay, so we're going to have to wrap up, and I'm trying to figure out which one of these questions I want to get in for you. But I think the biggest, I want to talk about your podcast, Happy Healthy Hustle. Tell us where they can find it. Tell us when you started it, how often you do it, everything.
So numbers, really important for me. I think that I create myself little deadlines when I look at some numbers that resonate with me. So I looked at my calendar one day and it was 3/23, 2023. And I thought, oh, that's kind of a cool date. I should do something. So I started my podcast on 3/23/23. And every month on my calendar, I have a little calendar reminder on my Apple Calendar that says it's another month anniversary of my podcast. Happy Healthy Hustle anniversary. And I celebrate every month because
Wow.
we celebrate. It's like another month where I'm keeping it up because a lot of people start a podcast and then they stop a podcast.
Yeah.
It's like a treadmill that's sitting in your garage, right? So
Yeah.
I started a podcast and I keep it up. And I think that's the reason why it's doing so great. But at the same time, it's it's quite happy, right? I'm laughing a lot on the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I talk a lot about health too, in a way that it doesn't make it feel overwhelming. I don't give you tips to buy the $10,000 treadmill. I give you tips to maybe put some sneakers on and walk around the block. Or like, what can you do if you have a super full schedule at work, right? So that's the hustle part right there. And of course, it's on all platforms where you can listen to and tune in. It's also on YouTube, so you can even watch me. In general, it's something that I'm super passionate about, and I really care about my podcast and making it super valuable to my audience.
I love the happy, healthy freaking hustle. It's awesome. Yeah. It's so fitting for you. Doctor, we're going to have to wrap up. But before we go, what didn't we get in that you want to tell women around the world and men that support us? Besides, we'll tell them where they can find you later.
Yeah, so I think for today, your little homework, because I am a professor, your little homework would be like find 3 things that really bring you joy. Ideally, no cost associated with it. And create a little joy bucket list for yourself, right? And you might have put them on the back burner, whether it was reading or whether it was stretching or whether that was maybe trying a new meal or whether it was from your job, something that brings you joy and that you really have not done for a while. And then let's create a deadline and actually do those things. Don't just say, someday I will do this again. Someday I will work out. I will read a book, blah, 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 blah. It is not on a calendar. There's no someday. Just say, all right, by the end of the month, I'm going to pick up a new book. Or by the end of the month, I'm going to listen to a book, or I'm going to connect with a friend and go for a walk. That's really what I would love that you take away from here. Petite practice about small. It's practicing something does not have to be perfect. It's messy, but it creates momentum. So just get started with it. Just feel that whenever you put yourself on the back burner, you're losing something of yourself. And that's what we all love and appreciate about you. So don't lose yourself. Rather make sure that you take care of yourself, because all of us are going to appreciate that even more.
I love that we have an assignment.
Yep. It's a
That's
homework.
awesome. A little homework. I'm so pumped about that. All right, Dr. Christiana, how can they find you? I know you told us about the podcast, but how if they want to reach out and work with you?
Website is Dr. written out, drchristiana.com. And of course, I can help you find that clarity, that confidence through my coaching programs. And if you want to, whether you want to start a podcast, publish a book, or become a presenter, the transition there is quite fluid between the people I work with, what they want to do. I call it my visibility loop. Whatever is your visibility action, I would be happy to support you with that in my coaching.
I'm so grateful that you took time off and you gave your class to your assistant. I really appreciate it. It means a lot. Hey, I got something to say, people. You know you're going to want to share, rate this, and like it, and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. And until next time, toodles. Thank you so much. I really, really have enjoyed this. This is awesome. I'm going to do your assignment.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, connect with me if you have any follow-up questions or if you want to submit that assignment. I'm definitely going to respond and give you a high five.
Yay. Bye, guys.